there and welcome back. Today's video we are going to be testing out the new palettes from the Balm. These are the What's the Tea palettes. We have the Hot Tea palette as well as the Iced Tea palette. I used both of them on my eyes today, as you can tell, and I'm going to be kind of comparing the two. I will be using them in today's video, kind of sharing my thoughts on them. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. Both of the new palettes here from the Balm. These are their What's the Tea palettes. They came out with two new eyeshadow palettes. So the first one here is the Hot Tea palette. Super cute packaging. The Balm always kills it with their packaging, I swear. And on the inside, you are going to have all of your shades. So what's really cool about these palettes is they actually have two different primer shades inside of the palette. So these are going to be cream primers, two different cream primers, and then you have 9 different eyeshadows inside of the palette along with a large mirror. So this one here is the Hot Tea palette. Super cute. You have the little teacups here with the different shades. So kind of how these primers work is they're actually going to transform each one of these shades. So you have a black base and then also like a more neutral primer. So if you look here on the back of the palette, it kind of shows you how the different shades transform using each one of the primers. So you even see like that this third shade right here is going to turn green if you use it with the black primer. So it's kind of just like you're getting a bunch of different eyeshadows in one palette because you have the two different bases here. Obviously with any look, if you use like a deeper primer, it's going to give you a different look to the shadows, but I think it's kind of cool that they have a map here showing you which shadows are going to turn which colors, so you can kind of don't have to play like a guessing game with this one. So this one again is the Hot Tea. This is going to be your warm palette, and then we also have the Iced Tea palette. I think it's super cute how they did the Hot Tea and the Iced Tea. I think that's fun. So here is the Iced Tea palette, and then on the inside of this one, this is more of a cool tone palette. So same thing, besides on this one, you're going to have the primer shades on the side instead of the top, and then you have all of your other shades. So again, 9 different shades in this one. This one has some blues, purples, and then more of like your warm shades here on the bottom. You also do get the same large mirror here. Each of these palettes are going to be $36, which I don't think is a bad price. You get 9 different shadows, and then if you count the 2 primers, these are available now on the Balm's website, and I will have them linked down below. So I'm going to actually get into the tutorial now. I did both of these different eye looks using each of the palettes. You guys will see kind of how they perform, how they work. This was my first time testing out these palettes, so I will come back in a few weeks and give you guys like my full thoughts once I've had a chance to use them a little bit more. But if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get started with the demo. All right, so we are going to start by doing one on each side, like I mentioned. So I'm going to start with the Hot Tea on this side, and then we're going to do the Iced Tea on this side. So we are going to start with the Hot Tea palette, which, oh my God, this one is so freaking cute. The actual pans in here are so fun, and I'm really excited to try them with the different primers. So in each one of the palettes, you have the neutral primer and then also the deep primer. So I'm gonna start, I think on this eye, I'm gonna use the neutral one. So this kind of more tan, like neutral shade. And for that, I'm just gonna apply it with my fingers. I'm not exactly sure how this is gonna go, but this is just supposed to be like a cream primer. I am gonna start on this side and we'll do the Hot Tea one. So I'm just gonna apply this base all over my entire lid just to prep the eyes. You can see compared to this side, it did just kind of cancel out a little bit of the redness that I do have on my lid. And so I'm not going to set this or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and apply it, like I said, with my finger. So to start out, I think I'm going to go in with the Word on the Street, which is going to be like this pinky shade right here. And I'm going to apply that into my crease. I'm just using this brush. This is from Morphe, my M433. And I'm going to set this down on the inner corner and then kind of just work it in. I normally like to set my primers, but I want to see how these shades kind of perform on top of it without setting anything down. So I am going to try it out that way first. So I'm just applying this pink all over the lid. And I'm just going to use this basically just as my transition shade, just making sure I really buff this out, really blend it out into the crease and really my entire lid. So the shade looks really nice. It's blending out nicely, and actually over top of the primer, it's not seeming like it's like pulling apart or anything like that, which is good because sometimes with the primers it can kind of separate and look a little funky. So I feel like that shade turned out pretty good. And next I'm gonna go into, I have like a hair on my face. I'm gonna go into the shade Ooh La La, which is this one right here, the second shade. It's kind of like a mustardy, like, I don't wanna say like pukey, I hate that word, but like a deeper brown shade. And I'm gonna tap that off, and we're gonna apply that just on the outer edge right here, and then blend that shade in. So I'm kind of just deepening up this outer corner right here, just making sure it's all blended together with that first shade that we used. I'm gonna go into the shade Scandalous, this one down here. And I kind of like the color story of these. Like, I feel like you could go in and just use like each one of the rows kind of as you would. But I'm gonna go into that shade Scandalous on the same brush, and I'm going to use that very, very lightly because this is a very deep shade and I don't want it to be too intense. But I kind of just want to further like deepen, oh gosh, this was a bad idea. Deepen this outer edge. That's definitely a very, very dark shade. I'm gonna go in with a clean brush actually and try to buff that out a little bit. That was a very pigmented, deep, deep shade, but I think it should still work. I just really wanted just to define this outer edge here, and then we'll go in with our shimmer. So once I use the clean brush, I feel like that blended out a little better. So now we're gonna go in with a shimmer, and I think the one that I wanna use the most is this like duochrome one right here, because I feel like that one's really fun and just kind of different. So I am actually gonna go back in with the base, and I want to put that just on the inner part of my lid and kind of use that to carve out my crease. I'm still gonna use my finger, but kind of just to carve out where I want the shadow to go and hope that it kind of lays on there nicely as well. I don't want anything like too precise, but that should do it. And then I'm gonna take my finger and go into the Tell All shade, which is that fun duochrome shade. And I'm using my finger again, and I'm going to apply that directly over top of the primer shade. I feel like that's not as intense as I was hoping it was gonna be on top of the primer. I definitely feel like it's a fun shade and it's a little bit different. You can see that it kind of has flecks of like purple and stuff in there. I am gonna try now, actually, I'm gonna try to apply that with a wet brush instead. So I'm just gonna go on with a flat shader brush, and I am gonna spray a little bit of it, just spray some Fix Plus and see if that kind of makes it a little bit more foiled and a little bit more pigmented. Yeah, see how like more reflective that is in there in the front? I just feel like wetting your brush always helps. That was kind of more what I was hoping that shade was going to be, just more of a reflective, kind of fun, like duochrome shade. I think it actually looks really nice once you wet your brush, so I'm just going to carve this out a little bit more right here, kind of connect it, and then I'm going to go back in and blend out what we did here on the edge. It turned out really pretty. I think it's kind of like a fun, like a different vibe. I don't know. I don't normally have a lot of shadows that are the same color. I feel like it's just something different. So that was what we're going to do. I am going to move on to the other palette for now, and then we'll come back into this one when we want to do our lower lash line. But I do think that that look kind of came out really pretty. It's kind of different. And then now we're going to go into the Iced Tea palette. And I know in this one I want to use the blue shade because, I mean, it looks so pretty. But also the purple, like the pinky purple shades in here look really pretty as well. So I think for this one, I'm actually going to go in with the black primer, which I'm kind of nervous about, and then maybe go in with the blue over top of it. So first for this one, I want to start out just doing my crease how I normally would. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into the first primer and apply this one. Let me wipe off my hand. I still have some of that blue shadow on there. So I'm going to apply some of this over top of my lid just to cancel out the redness that we have. And then after that, oh no, look what I just did. Seriously, just got shadow all over my face. I must have had it on my hand or something and I don't even see where it is, but I'm gonna go back in now with this primer and put this all over the lid just to cancel out the redness like I was saying. Okay, and now for this one, I'm going to start with the shade Oh Snap, which is this one right here, and I'm going to use that one in my crease as my first like transition shade. So I'm going to stamp that and then start to blend that. And then once we kind of start with our lid, I'll go on and put on the black primer, but I do want to have just a little bit of something in the crease first to work with. This shade actually with that primer is looking a lot deeper than it does in the pan. I know they said that each one of the shades are like transformative with the primer, so I might have wanted to go in with something else. I was hoping for it to be more of like this brown shade, and it's kind of turning a little bit black with the primer, just like a very deep brown. We can still make it work, but I just feel like that wasn't what I was thinking it was gonna do. After that, I'm actually gonna go in with the shade Kiss and Tell. I think that this one is so pretty. It's just like a periwinkle, like lilac kind of shade, and I'm gonna go in with that shade just to kind of blend a little bit all over the lid. Oh, that shade is pretty. It's actually way more pigmented than I was thinking. I was thinking it was gonna be really light. I don't know if it's over the base or what. That's actually a nice color. I'm just blending this shade all over my lid. I'm actually, like I said, pretty surprised at how pigmented that shade was. I wasn't expecting it to do that. I was thinking it was just gonna be like really light, kind of more to help blend out the other shade. But it actually gave quite a bit of color payoff to the lid. So next I'm gonna go into the Rundown, which is this one right here. It's kind of like a plum purple shade. And I am going to pick this up in a little bit of a smaller brush. And I want this shade just in the outer V again, just to kind of deepen that up a little bit before we go in with our blue shade. Okay, so now for this eye, I am gonna go in with the black lid primer, which I'm kind of nervous about, but this is the primer right here, and I am gonna be using this small detail brush from Motive actually to apply this one, so I wanna make sure it is just kind of right where I want it to be. So for this one, I'm going to start on my inner corner, and I'm kind of just gonna use this like I would to do a cut crease. So I'm kind of just gonna carve out my lid area with this primer. Okay, so now that that's like a little bit diffused, I am gonna go in with the blue shade. So for this one, I am going to actually wet my brush because we know with the other shade, it just worked better wet. So this is the shade, it's the Buzz, which is this one here. That's the shade I'm using, and I'm just gonna go on with that flat brush again and apply a little bit of my Fix Plus to it, and then we will apply it all over the lid. So I'm just gonna put it on right over top of the black shade. I'm getting a little bit of fallout with this one, like we got a couple flakes there. Wow, that looks so crazy. I love this blue, it's very different. I don't think I have another blue that's like this. It's like a very deep, deep blue. It's so pretty. I'm only just using a little bit on my brush, which I'm kind of surprised with because sometimes when I work with shades like blues, I feel like you have to kind of pack them on. But this one seems really pigmented just off the get-go. That is crazy. That's so pigmented. Okay, so I'm gonna actually go in now with that fluffy brush and just kind of diffuse the outer edge right here a little bit. So there is both different eyes. Such different eye looks we did. Like both sides are so different, but I feel like they each look really unique in their own way. So I'm gonna dust off this fallout that we got, and then I'm gonna do the lower lash line. We'll add some lashes as well, and then we'll do like our inner corner highlights. But so far, I feel like both of these looks are really fun, very different, like something different than my normal like go-to kind of look. So I'm gonna actually go ahead, I think, and apply some lashes on both sides, and then I'll be right back to do our lower lash line. All right, so I'm back after applying our lashes. Now we're gonna get started with our lower lash line. So for that, I'm gonna go back into the Hot Tea palette, and I'm gonna go into this more like mustardy shade right here, the second one, and use that one on our lower lash line and just apply that one straight to our lower lash line. I'm also gonna put, I think, some black liner on both eyes, but first I'm just gonna blend this shade out. All right, so I went ahead and added just some black liner really quick to our waterline. That one is just one from MAC, and I'm gonna go back in, and I think for the outer edge, I'm just gonna deepen it up with the shade down here, and the same brush, just apply a little bit of that right here, just to the outer edge, just to kind of deepen that up a little bit more. All right, and now for the inner corner on that side, I'm gonna go into the shade Spill the Beans, which is this one here, really pretty shimmer, and I'm gonna go in and apply that one to our inner corner just to highlight. That one kind of has a little bit of green flecks in it, so pretty. This is the one that if you use it over the black primer is gonna turn green. Ooh, that's pretty. I love that for an inner corner, super cute. So that is that eye. I'm going to go ahead and add some lower lash mascara once I finish the other eye, but we're going to go back into the iced tea one now and do the other lower lash line. So for this one, I really want to try out the shade here, which is Talk of the Town. It's like a deeper blue shade. So I'm first going to go into the shade Oh Snap and run that across our lower lash line, and then I'm going to go into that deeper blue shade. So just applying this, smoking it out all down our lower lash line here. All right, and then now going into the Walk of the Town, which is the blue, and I'm gonna work that really close to our lash line here. And I'm not gonna bring it, actually I got it down further than I wanted. I was gonna say I was not gonna bring it very far down, but you know. All right, we'll just have to blend that out and make it work down here. Next for our inner corner on the blue side, I'm gonna go in with the He Said, She Said shade, which is so pretty. I wanted to use this one all over the lid, but I really wanted to try out that blue too. So I think next time I go in with this palette, I'm gonna use this one all over the lid. It just looks like a nice lilac purple shade. So I'm gonna apply this one to our inner corner. And that one actually doesn't look as purple as I thought it was going to, but it still has like a tint of purple in it. Super cute. I'm gonna spray my brush, I think, with this shade because it's not looking as foiled as I want it to. It definitely looks pretty, but I kind of want it to be kind of like the other side, just a little bit more shimmery. So I'm gonna apply a little bit with the Fix Plus. I think that just makes a difference. Yeah, it looks a lot more blinding now. Right, and I'm just going to apply some lower lash mascara. I'm just using the Wonderfully Rio, which is my favorite from Rimmel. So I'm just going to apply this to my lower lashes. All right, and then here is our finished look with both eyes done. I would love for you guys to let me know down in the comment section which eye look you like better. Do you like the hot tea version or the iced tea version? I feel like both of these looks are very different in itself. I really enjoyed both of the palettes. I feel like they performed really nicely. I was kind of impressed with these primers. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know what to expect when I went in with these, but I really do think it kind of did transform these shades, at least from what they look like in the pan to how they appeared on the eyes with the different primers. So I definitely think the primers do make a difference in here, which I was a little bit nervous about, like to know how they would work. So I think that that was kind of cool. If I were to pick like between the two looks, I think I like the blue one, but just because I love blue. But I also think that this one is so unique and different. I love something about a duochrome is just so fun. I think it just depends on kind of like what eyeshadow vibes you go towards more. Like, do you like the more warm shades, which would be your hot tea palettes, definitely more of a warm vibe, or if you like more of a cool tone vibe, then I definitely think you would like the iced tea palette. Again, super pretty. Both of these are really, really nice palettes. So I will leave it down to you guys down in the comment section. You should let me know which eye look you like better, or if you're planning on getting either one of these palettes. I will have both of the palettes linked down below for you guys to check out. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, friends.